I'm not saying that's the case in this instance, but
we need to be aware.
I just wouldn't be doing it as a matter of policy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. General Manager. That is an important point for us to keep in mind. So Council of the Day just judges each application on its merits. Councillor Winky.
Well, I'd still be happy to second that motion, and just on the thought that, you know, it's going to lift Area Park no end. They've been through a tough time out there, and I think it'll do Area Park the world of good to have something like this in their town, in their new main street. Great thing to have.
Thanks, Councillor Winky. We have Councillor McLaren, Councillor Winky has moved that we accede to the request from the Temora Antique Motor Club to close Coolman Street on Saturday, the 10th of April 2021. And I now, a discussion on the motion, Councillor Judd.
I mean, I'm happy to look at future developing policy and how we're going to handle, you know, applications like this. And but I just think in this case we've got to go with it. But yeah, look, we've got to be set flag in future. So, well, if you want to come back or something like this, this may be that you may have to pay part of the cost or something like that. So.
Thanks, Councillor Judd. I might come back to you after we deal with this motion to perhaps consider a motion to council about developing some sort of policy in that space, because it does have to be looked at, because potentially our donations budget could be gobbled up by motor vehicle clubs alone, potentially. The General Manager?
I think, you know, in the past we've had the Teabag event where they've closed the main street, and that's a frightful expensive exercise, and because of that there's been modifications to have it on the side street so that you haven't got that cost. I don't know that you can have a blanket policy, but I'm just saying from a council perspective, we just want to be careful that we're not sort of committing ourselves by precedent to allowing every group who wants to close the street to close the street.
Right, so your suggestion overall, Mr. General Manager, is that we deal with each case on its merit, being mindful of, you know, previous decisions. Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Smith.
The Temora Club a couple of years ago had a function at the Greyhound track and raised money for a charity. And, you know, the cost, because it was at the Greyhound track, there was no major street closure cost. And I just think I'm a little bit, you know, I'm a bit tight on money, as everybody knows. But I just think, you know, spending this amount of money just to close the main street is...
When there's other options.
Yeah, there is other options. They could have it in the football ground, as long as they keep away from the building if the pole's still low.
Councillor Smith, you raise a relevant point. I suppose, and I'm also cautious as well with finance. I think there's many others in the chamber that are. But I probably think back to what Councillor Judd was saying. We have basically a brand new upgraded main street out there, and it would be a bit of a buzz for business for the village. You know, to have that on this occasion, but again going forward, you know, there needs to be those hard discussions made if there are other alternatives, and they're decisions that Council of the Day can certainly implement. So thank you for that. Back to Councillor Judd, discussion on the motion.
Just remind Council that our Australia Day breakfast has been cancelled for this year. So that was once function. It was going to be in the you know, vicinity of the main street. So we're missing out on that and any cost with that. You know, so yeah. So I think probably in the future we can flag it, but I think just for this one-off thing for our new main street, I think it's a great way to launch it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Judd. Well, if there's no further discussion, Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support Councillor Judd. I think the Australia Day thing has been cancelled out there this year, and it costs us around, or cost council around about that figure in any event. So, but I believe going forward, I think notice should be given to all these organisations that, you know, council can't keep coughing up the cost all the time. And I know with the car club that I'm in, we often do maintenance runs. I mean, this could be just a maintenance run. I'm not sure what this CHMC stands for, is some sort of a rally or whatever it is. I'm not sure, but I think just going forward, I think just put these users on notice, these clubs on notice, and just council can't keep coughing up the cost all the time. So that's
Thank
all I have to
you.
say, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Oliver. Council of Heritage Motor Clubs. It's very small print. Yeah, I know, sorry, it was late, but again, council had to consider, so again, we apologise, councillors, but we will keep educating our community groups. If there's no further discussion on the motion, I will put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried, noting Councillor Smith's objection. Thank you very much. No further correspondence of an urgent late nature, I assume, Mr. General Manager?
No, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillors, we now proceed over to page 105 of your business paper. We do not have any business in relation to a notice of motion. Therefore, we now go to business without notice. So I will now go around the chamber and we will start with Councillor Smith. Any business without notice, please?
There's a couple of items which I will put in writing. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Smith. We now go to Councillor Oliver.
No, Mr. Mayor, nothing to...
No deal, thank you.
No deal.
Thank you. Councillor Winky, business without notice.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of items. One is in regard to, remember we've closed the Ron Martin Road out on the Trungley Hall Road between Trungley Hall Road and Bundawarra Road. There's another laneway, and I suppose if we can ask the manager without notice that if there's no road, there's no name signs on it. It comes off Research Station Road and goes east back across to Bundawarra Road. There's a road goes through there. Quite a handy road. I went on it yesterday just out of curiosity. It's it just might be an adaptable name for putting it, adaptable place to put the Ron Martin Road to. And well, since we've got the signs already, just a matter of moving the signs from one to the other. As long as once we get past for. I think that there's just no name signs on that road unless it's part of Research Station Road. I don't know. That road to the back of the Research Station, yeah, and it goes east straight from that end off the Trungley Hall Road across to Bundawarra Road.
Thank you, Councillor Winky. I'm going to defer to the acting works manager.
Mr Mayor, thanks for that. In response to Councillor Winky's comment there, that road is part of Research Station Road, but it's not signposted as such on the ground as per the comment, so signposting can be carried out.
So, thank you. So, Councillor Winky, would you like, though, you're saying that it's not signposted, maybe that's something that we should have?
Well, yeah, even if it was just a matter of putting one on the...
So, Councillor Winky?
Even if it was just a matter of putting one sign on perhaps on the Bundawarra Road going back that way as well, it might sort of cover most of it. Yeah.
Yep. So is that something that something that the engineering acting works manager thinks that we can make happen, please?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. In terms of doing that, that's definitely something we can easily do under maintenance. I believe probably why it wasn't signposted in the past was the access was pretty substandard to try to get in there. There was a deep causeway where the effluent goes down the side of Trungley Hall Road there. So there was always a wet intersection trying to get through. So that was upgraded to a pipe culvert a few years back, but signposting obviously wasn't changed at that time either.
Thank you. So, Councillor Winky.
Yeah, thank you for that. That covers that one. And the other thing is, we've really got to do something with that screen behind my head because I haven't got eyes in the back of my head, and it's really a nuisance. It'd be appreciable to be able to see the motions that are written up on the screen. It really is a bugbear, and I don't know, can we put a TV up in front of you there somewhere where we can see the screen and just see for us sitting back here and for anyone else that's going to be sitting here down the track? Otherwise, we'll be swapping seats with you guys up the front. Sorry.
No, well, thanks, Councillor Winky. I think, well, it's an issue that we've heard, joked about in the chamber. We didn't realise, it was a serious issue. Can I just ask, what the heck have we got this thing in here for? Mr. General Manager, as in when I say that thing to the listeners, I mean a stand, the stand with what do you call that thing?
Yeah.
Oh, it is not a UFO.
We've had a number of teleconferences in here in recent days, and that's what it's there for.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a comment, Mr. General Manager, in relation to Councillor Winky's comments at this stage?
Not really. I mean, we took the view, but it's obviously an incorrect view. That during a meeting we probably refer to that 3 or 4 times. We took the view that we could probably, during those times people could turn around. But the other issue is probably the layout of the council chambers. That may be something you want to look at, rather than having the horseshoe effect, having 2 vertical tables, horizontal tables parallel to one another.
See, I like the horseshoe, but
yeah, but it's quite difficult. Other than having, we could probably put a screen up there or something, and
then we will have a blue. Them's fighting words.
Yeah, I mean, look, we could do something like that. It's not a problem, but where it would go is a bit of an issue. But it can be done.
Could there be one, Mr. General Manager? I'm sorry, I will get to the Deputy Mayor. But could there be one, some appropriate inoffensive screen put in that middle section there for the councillors that sit there and there? Is that something that we could do?
Guardedly, I'd say yes. It's the biggest problem is the distance and the technology to use the same sort of connection that you've got there, a USB connection. They've got limitations in terms of the technology of 10 metres, 5 metres, whatever the case is. But look, we can find that out. There may be boosters on the line that we can use or something, but we can certainly look at it.
Thank you. So, the Deputy Mayor, did you have... Or have you... Oh, yeah, right. Now, we don't need that. Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just wondering, is there any Bluetooth technology that we've got a new council starting in September, and we generally get new iPads with that appointment, if we get elected, that is. Is there any Bluetooth that you could put it in real time, what's up there onto your screen, onto your iPad?
Well, maybe, if council, are you happy to investigate that and the other considerations to see what other options that there may be? Because obviously it is an issue, and I can understand for particularly those 2 councillors that have those seats, which I think are usually the best seats if you want to catch the eye of the mayor. So, council happy that we go away and investigate that? Okay, thank you. So there's consensus that we do that. Thank you. You don't want to add your comment still?
I suggest this do a portrait
Yeah, there's a million lines, but I'm not going to touch. Councillor Winky.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. It'd be nice if it was investigated. I'd appreciate that very, very much.
No, it will be investigated.
Otherwise my neck's going to feel like a giraffe.
Yeah. We don't want that.
That's all I've got. Thank you, Mr.
No, thanks very much, Councillor Winky. Councillor McLaren.
Nothing other than to endorse my giraffe friend's comments. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. We will definitely be looking into that and report back with some options. Councillor Judd, business without notice.
Yes, Mr Mayor, we spoke earlier about, mobile black phone spots in the Shire. Just bring up a serious thing we had at Erie Park with the Erie Park Spa supermarket, where now just there been 10 days without FPOS facilities at the shop. And it's just come back online now, but, it's just not good enough in these days, for a business trying to survive, especially in a small town. And I went down a couple of days ago and Chris Namoto, who's the manager, he showed me a wad of dockets that he's had to, finance the customers, if he wants to keep the customers, and he said, it was in the tens of thousands that they were carrying for this period until they get back online. Now, they have an ATM in the shop, and a lot of days it was also not working as well. So so like if this was in a larger town, Temora, Wagga, that, it'd be a big outcry and be fixed within a certain time. But it's just, small towns, I don't think they seem to worry about us, So anyway, just raise that. It's something that, with businesses in our town, it's, the owners and managers of the spa have really done a really good job what they've invested in our town. A top little supermarket, and they've been, I reckon they've been losing business because, people these days are so used to using their card for FPOS, and it's sort of, and I think it's, it really should be supporting business like that to get better service.
Thanks very much, Councillor Judd. I couldn't agree more with what you've had to say. I must say, even in our business, frankly, since NBN has come in, we have never had, and talking to some of your fellow businessmen in the CBD, that, their landline is out for their shop on days on end. We've got to carry on to stand up for that, but also we've had the FPOS, but we've used the clickety-click thing, but obviously in a supermarket, that would be very intense and full on. And I just know what stress that we go through when we don't have it for a few days, let alone 2 weeks. That's disgraceful, really. It really is. The General Manager.
Yeah, could I just ask Councillor Judd, was it a communications issue, or is it the company providing the FPOS service? Because I did read in one of the Sydney newspapers that one of the major providers of FPOS services were down for several weeks, and that affected Australia-wide.
Thank you, but can you keep us informed, Councillor Judd, in relation to that? Because if council have to try and make some form of representations, if it doesn't have anything to do with what the General Manager said, then we need to try something.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Judd. We go to Councillor Smith.
There's a neighbour of ours that's had his phone out for 2 months and hasn't had it fixed.
2 months.
2 months.
And it was Telstra?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, thank you. To me, that's a basic service.
Yeah, they're a bit upset.
Well, they need to go. If it is Telstra, they should be talking to Mr. McCormack's office in Wagga.
I can't read him to tell him.
We'll go for a drive and visit him. Anyway, thank you. Let's move on. Nothing further, Councillor Judd? No, thank you. Councillor Reinhold? Nothing? Thank you. The Deputy Mayor? No, thank you. I just had a couple of things. Councillors, the General Manager, I understand, is doing a bit of a road show for Section 355 committees in the next several weeks.
Well, probably several months.
Several months.
But I've been to a few of the committees, and I've got quite a few to go to.
And the response from those that you've seen are okay?
Yeah, I've probably got the more difficult ones to come.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. Just Councillor, wanted you to be aware of that, just in case that some might express some concerns or what have you. Just keep filtering through, and we'll work through them together. The issues, Mr. General Manager. Thank you. So there's that, and just the last one I had, councillors, we had a meeting with the General Manager and the Director of Environmental Services, the Director of Administration and Finance this morning, together with the Pinnacle Services Manager and one of the senior officers, to discuss when the supported independent living home is finally finished, which we're talking around March, but wanted council to be able to go and have an appropriate inspection of that home just prior to it being occupied, because I know how dear it is, the project, to council. I certainly am aware, with Councillor McLaren's involvement with the special person and carers group. So I think, councillors, if you're happy for us to have, because it is going to be a private home, we felt that it wasn't appropriate to have the big community opening, and I accept that point. I think the arguments presented this morning were appropriate, but it is important, and as far as I'm concerned, that at least the council, we get to, on behalf of the community, get to go there, inspect it, see how it looks and feels just prior to it, the residents moving in. So, council, you will be kept informed, but it will be, sort of a low-key event, although there will be a statement released that will acknowledge all of those that are involved in the program, in the project rather, from council, Pinnacle, to special persons, carers group, to tradesmen and others. So we will do that, but we've had to handle this in a little bit more of a more sensitive manner, which I think council would appreciate. So that's all I had, councillors. Anything further, business without notice? If not, a motion to receive the information paper, please, on page 106. Councillor Oliver. Thank you, the Deputy Mayor. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare, excuse me, I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillors, you will see, councillors, our letter in relation to page 132, the Burley Griffin Mary Gilmore Way. I think the Works Manager, do you have any updates in relation to that for council at this point, or not, in relation to that treatment of that Burley Griffin Way and Mary Gilmore Way on page 132, 133? If not, that's fine. The Manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in regards to that matter, there is a confidential report that we'll move into in particular in regards to that matter.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillors, also on page 134, the note that we've received via our state member who made representations to the Prime Minister, which I actually thought she was going to write to the Premier, because the Premiers seem to be the stumbling block across the state and some chief ministers. So I'm a little puzzled as to why our member a state member hasn't written to the state Premier. I think that's something we need to. The General Manager?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was listening to ABC News Radio today, and they were talking about this matter and defending the decision, saying that COAG, that the National Cabinet was a different situation to COAG, and that made the comment that all state premiers had agreed to exclude local government from the process.
So all of them? So all state premiers and chief ministers? Right. Well, to me, I don't know, this is up to council, but I would like to see us writing again, thanking the state member for making representations to the Prime Minister. However, we would like to specifically ask the Premier of New South Wales her views in relation to this, in light of what we understand that she's not in favour of it. I'd like council in our community to hear the reasonings and the justification for the decision, because again, this is something that I know our colleagues, mayors and councillors throughout this region and beyond, not happy at all, as you know, Mr General Manager, with your colleagues as well. That this is the way local government's treated, and again, in light of what you've just said, what a slap in the face from for local government, not just by our federal counterparts, but looks like the state and territories. Yep. So, Councillor Judd, would you like to move that we? Oh, hang on, who's on? Someone's on. No, Councillor Judd.
Oh, I did note on the country hour on the radio yesterday, just was an item on news about the local government not wanting to be involved, so it's sort of starting to hit the airwaves at the moment. So, but I'm happy to move a motion on the way.
So you'll move that we write to the state member for Cootamundra, specifically requesting the views of the state premier in relation to local government representation at National Cabinet.
Yeah, I'll move it that way.
Thank you. Second, Councillor McLaren.
Happy to second. I have a
Thank you.
comment.
Discussion.
I just have a comment about JOs and in the picture of this whole scheme of things, whether it's not related.
Sorry, can you speak up? Sorry.
I just had a question of whether the issue of JOs and things might be related somehow.
It's a whole nother chest starter. There is Councillor McLaren, a healthy scepticism is a good thing. What I would say is that there will be a JO review. We have heard that there is supposed to be draft terms of reference for that review coming out, Mr Deputy Mayor, in the coming months. And I hope to have something tied up by the middle of this year. Now, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, so watch this space in that front. But they are committed. One thing I do believe that they are committed to this review. What comes of it, we don't know. But at least we will get our chance as a JO board, as councillors and as staff across our region and the other 13. They will have their opportunity to have input into that review. But I have to say, there's been boycotts. We have our JO Chairman's Network, in Sydney or Zoom. There's a couple that are, or 2, 3 that don't turn up. They've refused to turn up because they're disgusted with the state government not offering this recurrent funding, the commitment. So there's a lot of work, and there's a lot still hurting, frankly, over the what many would perceive as being a gun held to the head in relation to if you don't take the emergency service. If you don't remain committed to a JO for 2 years, you don't receive the emergency services levy reimbursement. So that there's some still smarting over that, I have to say. Anyway, thank you, Councillor McLaren, the Deputy Mayor.
Mr Mayor, I heard the tail end of a report on the ABC a couple of days ago. They were interviewing the Mayor of Gladstone, Queensland, and he was saying how disgusted they were in not being national representation of local government. So I think there's going to be quite a push across the whole country. I don't think we've heard the end of it yet. I reckon in the next week or two or next month, I dare say there's going to be quite a push from a lot of councils. So nothing's all finished yet.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor, and I'm proud of this council because we've already made representations to verbally and in writing to the federal members for Riverina and the Deputy Prime Minister. We seem to agree to disagree. Obviously the Prime Minister, they think that this organisation, the National Federation of Reform Council, meeting once a year is adequate Anyway, I know Council's position, and I'm going to put the motion that Councillor Judd and Councillor McLaren have moved, that we write to the state member requesting her to make representations to the New South Wales Premier. Because I think that's the motion we had last time, and then she's taken that as well. I'll write to the Prime Minister. I don't know whether she was frightened by the response. I'm sure she wouldn't be. So the move and second are happy with what's on the screen, for those that can see. And for our listeners, of course, that Councillor Judd and Councillor McLaren have a motion that Council make further representations to the New South Wales member for Cootamundra, Ms Steph Cook MP, regarding the exclusion of local government at the National Cabinet to the New South Wales Premier. So is that captured? No. Councillor Judd?
We're trying to get the Premier's...
Sorry, Councillor Oliver.
We are trying to get the Premier's opinion, right? What she's...
Yes.
And that really...
Yes, further representations to explain her position.
Yes.
Yeah, to seek her position in relation to local government not being represented at National Cabinet.
Yeah, that's right, thank you.
Wordy. Thanks, Councillor Judd. So, Councillor McLaren, you're happy with that wording? Discussion. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Perhaps we should write the letter ourselves and get our local member to pass it on for us, and then we could express how we actually feel.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's been done before. We write a letter to the, to the Premier and ask, because it is appropriate to go through our local member, as you've alluded, so that could work too. Well, mover and seconder, what would you like?
You're seeking the position of the Premier.
We're seeking the position of our Premier in relation to this matter. But I can see the fours, but I can also see I'd probably like our state member to feel the heat. You know, that this is an issue that we feel strongly about. We want you to... But again, I'm in your hands. Councillor McLaren.
I think we should put it to her, we would like your support for local government involvement in COAG, or the national, and then she has to answer one way or another.
Make further representations for her to seek the position.
Whether you support the exclusion of local government from the National Cabinet.
Well, it's on the public record, as we've heard from what we've heard today, that all the premiers and chief ministers are against it. So therefore, that's why I think that we should be saying, well, you know, can you please explain your position?
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Explain.
Okay, how are we going here? Make further representations to the member for Cootamundra to seek your position, wasn't it? To seek
The reasoning.
of her opposition.
Yeah.
Of the Premier's opposition. Yeah. Of her positions, probably more general.
Yeah. It really should say
Or
the
the
reasoning
Premier's.
of the New South Wales Premier's
Yes,
position
yes.
on la la la.
Yeah, yeah.
Not supporting.
Yeah, not supporting the inclusion
Reasoning of not supporting.
of the New South Wales Premier
Use the word inclusion instead of exclusion.
position. Needs to be
To
Premiers.
seek the reasoning of the New South Wales Premier's
Yeah.
position regarding the exclusion of local government at National Cabinet? Well, that's, for me, captured it. Are the mover and seconder happy? Because it's not sort of
Or
an
not
accusing
support,
thing.
or
It's
you could either have it excluding, or you could say for not supporting the inclusion of local government in national
the
government.
Premier's position regarding the exclusion. You know, I think it needs to be put on it.
Okay, fine.
So, but mover and seconder, you've got to be happy. It's your motion. So the mover's happy, seconder, Councillor McLaren, you're happy. I think this is a good motion. If there's no further discussion, I'm going to put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Did that hit you funny, bone? Thank you very much, councillors. Anything further information paper? I note, councillors, in our busy rangers report, I just note that we're not seem to be policing our scooters and bikes on the main street, and of course, you know, in school holidays, it's always going to be. And I just wonder, you know, I don't know whether the police are policing it either. To me, we just should be policing it or remove the signs. I just, I know there's certain councillors in the chamber that share the same views. For me, I worry about it. I really do, and it's obviously raised whenever we do our walk and talk tour as an issue. So, and we report it back, and I know, and all of us know, the ranger does a tremendous job, and so do our police. But it is an issue that we do need to keep a close eye on. Anyway, that's my views. Council, what does council feel?
Through you,
The
Mr
director.
Mayor, the ranger did have some time off in December as well, so those numbers are down because of that, I'd suggest.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I've got the same opinion, I think, because I stepped out of White's shoe shop and got rolled over the push bike, and of course the kid jumped up and ran away because I couldn't catch him. That was a fair while ago, but I still say they're a hazard on the street. You know, they
And it's
need
not
to be-
just little kids, Councillor Smith, all the time.
No,
No, you know.
no,
Yeah,
no, that's true. But I just say
yeah.
there's a hazard for older people.
And those with
That,
special needs and, yeah,
They can't quite move us and catch these kids on push bikes.
yeah. No, thank you, Councillor Smith, but as I say, it is an issue consistently raised with us as councillors, but I do note what the Director of Environmental Services said in relation to leave, which the Rangers, of course, entitled to. No further, Councillor Judd.
Yeah, just following on that comment, Mr Mayor, one of the concerns I always have is the children on scooters who whip across the pedestrian crossings, which are going far faster than walking pace, and it's, heaven help you if you're a car approaching and someone shoots out in front of you, and that's, that's one of the real places where it's an issue.
No, you're right, Councillor Judd. It makes you sick. Some of the things you see on our footpath near Wiley's there. It's the pedestrian crossing. It is frightening. But then again, there's a responsibility on the pedestrians too. Nothing further in the information paper. In accordance with Section 10A of the Local Government Act 1993, advise that there are several items that are deemed confidential, and accordingly I require a motion to have those matters considered. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor has moved that way. Second, Councillor Winkie moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried.